Welcome back to Yang Daily. I'll be your host, Alex Cheney, bringing you all the Yang news you need to live your life right. Definitely getting behind from the volunteering now, but it is worth it. There are still so many people out there who don't know who Yang is or what he's about, either because they haven't heard of him or because what they've heard is false. Help me educate them, gang. This episode is pretty much all about the mayoral race, with the exception of the first item. Let's roll. Quick shout out to our Tier 3 patrons, Shay Meehan and Nathan Stankowski, as well as all our other patrons. You keep us all informed and engaged. If any of you out there want to join these advocates of humanity first and independent journalism, head on over to patreon.com/YangDaily. It would only take a couple of bucks a month from each listener to keep this podcast and community going and growing into the future. Now on to the news. Pelosi has named the Democrats that will form a special committee designed to address economic inequality. It is intended to offer recommendations for legislation to modify tax codes, reduce barriers to home ownership, create economic hubs, and other means to, in Pelosi's words, make capitalism worker-friendly. But the main reason that I mention it is that the very first solution they listed was none other than UBI. Pelosi talked about UBI a bit last year, but then seemed to forget it. It's good to see her coming back around, and to have this be the first option for addressing economic inequality in such a formal and high-level document is very encouraging. That is proof of all of us making a difference. The committee is modeled on a similar one developed by Roosevelt. McCarthy has yet to select the Republican members. The letter linked below lists the committee members. If one of them is yours, be sure to educate and encourage them on UBI. So the final mayoral debate was last night. It doesn't seem to have been a game changer, and the articles I saw seem to agree with that. Probably the two biggest moments were Yang calling out Adams on the union endorsement and Yang making a slight gaffe on mental illness. On the latter, Andrew said that people with mental illness have rights, but so do the rest of us. A gaffe because it seems to otherize those with mental illness. Ironic considering the narratives to otherize Yang. It was in the context of most anti-Asian violence being committed by the mentally ill, and Yang said that we shouldn't leave them on the streets, that he would increase the number of psychiatric beds so that the violently ill can get help for their sake as much as everyone else's. The mentally ill are frequently abused on the streets, and I think we all know how much Andrew talks about the importance of mental health, how much of his speech and policy are dedicated to normalizing it, but naturally all of that was ignored, and only the otherizing line was weaponized and spread around social media by the opposition to make him seem hostile to the mentally ill. Common sense dragged out of context and perverted as usual. We know enough to know how absurd that is, but most people will not. It's easy to see why campaigns go negative. Offense is way easier than defense. The union instance was Yang bringing up the police endorsement, followed by Adams claiming that his own union chose not to endorse him only because he refused to accept it. Yang was having none of that. He interrupted Adams to say that the lieutenants told him Adams did meet with them and ask for their endorsement, but they refused. Andrew was extremely abrupt and matter-of-fact about it. It was actually quite hilarious. I highly recommend the clip of it in the links. I had been planning to correct my earlier reporting on the union endorsement because, as Yang said, NBC did indeed report that the union reps confirmed Adams did not preemptively decline their endorsement, as he had said. There was another story of Adams showing up to Williamsburg assuming that he would have their endorsement only to get angry when they refused and then claim he never wanted it. So it's possible this childish behavior is a pattern for him. Speaking of which, Adams is now trying to claim that Yang violated campaign finance law by having grassroots support. No, seriously. He's attacking the campaign for having the support of Matt Skidmore, saying that Matt is providing too much support to Yang for them to not be coordinating. Being as Adams is supported chiefly by real estate developers, I suppose it shouldn't be surprising that he cannot grasp the concept of people being passionate about a political campaign without, being paid. This freaking guy. There have also been so many articles coming out in the last few days about different corrupt dealings in Adams' past and present that I honestly can't keep up. I don't want to report on them without digging into the details because I don't want to spread potential misinformation, but I did link a few if anyone wants to see them. Personally, I've already seen more than enough to know that it would be a travesty if that man wins. In better news, Yang received an endorsement from former Rising co-anchor Saagar in Jetty. Not sure where his progressive co-host Crystal is on this race, but she really should be backing Yang as well, as Andrew has policy that best aligns with Crystal's own, especially on supporting the New York Health Act. Incidentally, Saagar and Crystal have both started a new show called Breaking Points. You can view clips of it on YouTube or listen to the audio as a podcast for free or subscribe to the full content. Yang was also endorsed by the Queen's Ledger newspaper, and we got a clip of him biking to cast his vote the other day. Classic Yang. Finally, today, or well, yesterday now, I guess, was the first day of the North American Basic Income Guarantee Conference. It's not over yet, over 30 events and 120 experts, and it's not too late to join in. Check the link below. And that'll do it for today's Yang Daily. Bookmark and share the Inequality Committee touting UBI, Yang smashing Adams with facts, the Saagar endorsement, Adams attacking Matt, and the NABIG conference. Flood Congress with calls, tweets, faxes, and letters using the Resist bot or Income Movement easy contacts below. If you need help, consult Humanity Forward, the Income Movement Aid Database, the Mission Asset Fund, or United Way, and don't forget to Yang Daily.